I have. Some call it wishful thinking. I don't about the way this life could be. So much sadness seems like not enough gladness seems to me. Lack of vision is a dangerous thing. If you can see it, then you start to feel it. The next thing you know, you believe, and that's when dreams begin to come true.
Most of us want the same things from life: a good job, a nice place to live, and time with people who love and care about us. Although this seems ordinary, typically many people with disabilities have had limited options, low expectations, and little or no vision for their future. Person-centered planning is a process of bringing people together in partnership to develop and take the next steps that are significant for the person to move towards their vision or dream. It's about building allies, taking action, and accessing resources and supports that are available to every citizen.
You have 3 jobs?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, my dog category.
What was that one?
My dog category.
Michael's Arts and Crafts, okay. And how many hours a week do you work there?
9 years.
9 hours?
9 years.
What days? What other jobs?
I yeah.
Jennifer has been here, I believe, a little longer than 8 years. Jennifer's duties at ICPAC have a wide variety. She ranges from delivering daily mail to making sure our recycling gets taken care of. She's just come to be such a part of this place and something I look forward to come in here and be able to talk to her and laugh with her.
As Jennifer and Jim renew their circles to pursue new dreams, they will share their stories on how person-centered planning worked to make their earlier dreams of living in their own apartments a reality.
Jim has a lot of dreams, and he's expressed for a long time that he would be very happy in his own home. I'm willing to help out with anything that I can do to get him in his own home and whatever Jim wants to do.
Tell me about it.
I want to be around where around here where I'm right now, and around people who. I'll find one on the corner over here.
You like the idea of being on a corner?
Yeah.
Okay, on a corner lot?
Yeah.
The same principles of person-centered planning can work for everyone. However, each person will be faced with unique challenges along the way.
I think person-centered planning can be a very effective process for helping people to accomplish their goals. I've actually used the plan for people with and without disabilities. It is not a disability-related process, although I think in the disability field, quote, we're using it a lot. I think that it can help for the first time in many people's lives. It can help them create their goals, identify their goals, and achieve them in the way that they want to achieve them, so they can have an active life, they can develop friendships, they can go the places they want to go, they can take the same risks the rest of us take, they can be tired because they've got too much to do, as Jennifer seems to have right now. They can wish for more time alone because they're too busy, which is just not what we see for a lot of people with disabilities. They lead lonely lives, isolated lives, lives where they're not making choices about where they go and what they do.
We're not asking, do you want to fit into slot A or slot B? We're saying, what do you want in your life? What kind of outcomes would you like? Where would you like to live? Where would you like to work? Who do you want to go play with? Who do you want to have a relationship with? Who do you want in your life? What kind of people? What do you want to do for recreation? It's a lot different than saying, would you like to go to, and then giving them one choice or two choices. So it's a real different approach. It's a much more open-ended, questioning kind of approach rather than telling kind of approach. We're really asking people what do they want and then trying to help them get at that. What kind of, have you thought about whether it's a house or a condominium or an A-frame or two-story, or what's it look like?
Well, White House, the big one.
In our day-to-day work supporting people with disabilities to make decisions, John O'Brien, a pioneer in the disability field, suggests 5 outcomes as a way to continuously evaluate our work and the decisions we make. Community presence, being seen in ordinary places that are typically shared by others. Community participation, being part of a growing network of personal relationships that provide opportunities for close friendships and can only occur when there is a regular presence in everyday settings. Respect, having a valued place among a network of people and valued roles in everyday life. Competence, individuals must have the opportunity to perform activities that are meaningful and useful with whatever level or type of assistance is required. Choice, providing individuals ample opportunities to experience decision-making in both small, everyday matters and in large, life-defining matters. These outcomes are particularly important for individuals who have difficulty expressing themselves, knowing what their options are, or having someone speak on their behalf. Whether they express it or not, everyone wants a life that is meaningful and rich in relationships.
John O'Brien's 5 outcomes help us identify what it is that makes everyone happy and content and self-fulfilled in whatever ways. Unfortunately, because as a society we don't have an image right now that's fully developed for how people with disabilities can be involved in their communities and the types of lives they can lead. A focus on choice and understanding what choice is, and understanding that we all have the opportunity to make bad choices and learn from them, and then revise our choice making based on the bad experiences is an important thing. That just mere participation with friends and family in community events so that we're meeting new people and having different opportunities, respect from others. Again, they're all so obvious when you articulate them or when you verbalize them, but they're not for many people. They're not for many people with disabilities and others who are marginalized in our society.
Before beginning a person-centered process, there are a few things to consider, such as, does the person want something different? Maybe more friends, maybe to be more included in their school or community. Maybe a different living arrangement or job. Is there a group of people who are committed to making the change happen? Is there someone to champion this effort and ensure something does change? And is there someone who will assure the voice of the person is heard?
This was a really good time to plan for Jennifer because she had talked for quite a while about getting her own apartment. And it seemed as though the time had come when we knew she was serious and we knew it was time to do this.
Her running around the house grumbling that she needed a bigger bedroom and a bigger bathroom. And it was Dixie from there, you know, and how about a living room and, you know, the rest of it, you know. And so, and she just kept this up in terms of, you know, wanting her own apartment.
People may communicate both their happiness and unhappiness through actions and behaviors. We need to be good listeners as well as good observers. Jim's planning began as a result of him confiding with coworkers about his unhappiness with living in a group home and having nothing to do.
You want to go in a group home. You don't have no purpose in the group home. You have a roommate coming in now. You have to go with them every time you go out somewhere. You have to go with them all the time. I like peace and quiet.
Jim was very unhappy at his group home and was very much interested in living on his own. And I saw no reason why he couldn't do that.
Jim's family was hesitant about him living in his own apartment. They worried about his ability to live on his own without 24-hour supervision and were fearful of him losing his group home slot if things failed. Because Jim's family lives far away and was unable to attend his circle meetings, the circle developed strategies to alleviate the family's fears.
Well, initially the circle made some calls to Jim's family to introduce ourselves and kind of explain what the person-centered planning process was. Then there was an initial meeting where we met the parents and introduced ourselves so they could put a face to our names. After that, there were a couple videotapes made of the circle meetings so they could see the number of people that were here to support Jim and the way the process worked out.
While Jim's family participated in the process long distance, Jennifer's family was present and supportive in helping her drive the process. However, they did have some concerns about how things might work out, and like most families, had difficulty letting go.
There was a lot of planning that went into her leaving, and as those are the feelings when you, if you will, you had time to stop and think about and reflect, do I really want to do this? Well, you knew you had to. We thought that she was ready. I thought that I was ready, until it came right down to it, that I realized that I probably wasn't as ready as she was.
Like many others, Jim and Jennifer needed help bringing people together and organizing their meeting. Jim had co-workers, and Jennifer had her family. The organizer assisted Jim and Jennifer with many tasks, such as identifying circle members who they liked and trusted, making phone calls, finding a comfortable location, setting meeting times, developing an agenda, sending out invitations, and, most importantly, identifying a neutral facilitator.
In finding a facilitator, it is very difficult for a lot of families, and that there is some danger, if you will, in using people from agencies just because they may have a vested interest, and it's sort of a conflict of interest if you have an agency person. I much prefer someone who has nothing to do with the services that we pay for Jennifer. You can ask agencies if they know of other people. Maybe another agency that's not serving your child might have someone, maybe they could trade being facilitators.
I think a facilitator has a lot of different roles, and those change depending on the circle and the dynamics in the circle. But largely their role is to help the members of the circle gather information and to synthesize that information in a way that is meaningful and makes sense for the focus person. I think generally it's someone who's comfortable, who listens well, who is willing to kind of cross the line and take a risk if humor is what is needed with the group to get over a difficult situation, or who can make the group comfortable with tears when those occur, and they will occur, or anger.
Often what is discovered in starting a circle is there may not be anyone to bring together around a person other than a few paid staff members and possibly a family member. Enlisting people who can contribute becomes one of the first challenges for the circle.
Some of the things that make a good circle member are, obviously they're people that care about what's going on in this person's life, and they're people who are willing to say, okay, I can commit some time to this process, not just to come to the meetings, but to spend some time making sure that the pieces that they agree to get accomplished.
I know who the people are in the circle. Because people just need to talk about the group home at work. I have people that trust and I like.
Each circle member plays an essential role in making the person's dreams come true. It requires listening, being flexible, and making things happen for the person.
I felt like my job was more than just to take Jennifer to the store or the laundry. It also was to find out what Jennifer likes to do, what interests that she has, and then find out ways, you know, to continue helping Jen do whatever it is she likes to do or find new things in the community.
In a spirit of caring about the person and believing there's worth in getting things accomplished, Circle members make every effort to get things done. Success is more often seen when there is at least one champion in the Circle. For Jim, it was his coworkers, and Jennifer had her parents.
I think we all need at least one person in our lives to be passionate about helping us reach our goals. As I observe people with disabilities, particularly who need a pretty significant amount of support, I think it's very important that there's at least one person who serves as their advocate, who kind of knows what all is going on and kind of keeps on top of things.
There are a number of person-centered planning tools from which to choose. All strive to accomplish a vision for the future while using colorful maps to help the team look at the information.
Students down, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so a few or none or what?
Not too many.
Not too many students. Okay. What else do you not want to have?
As the facilitator often takes the lead in running the meeting, one of the first steps is establishing ground rules.
The ground rules, but I'm going to hit a couple of them since we haven't been together for a while. One is that there are no bad ideas. There may be some tough ones, there might be some challenges, but they're not bad ideas, and we're all creative folks and can get there if we think hard and work hard at it. Another one is, I've asked Jennifer, as I did early on, if any of us have difficulty understanding Jennifer and what she's trying to tell us, Mom and Dad may help us out. And Jennifer says she's okay with that. Is that true, Jennifer?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
I think one of the things that really made it a strong success was one of the ground rules going in. It was that this is Jennifer's Circle, and Jennifer speaks first, okay? And we give her time to speak and to understand, so and we didn't speak on her behalf.
Ground rules are an important piece of any facilitation, but I think particularly when we're trying to move from system-centered kinds of approaches to person-centered kinds of approaches, it's setting some ground rules, making sure, again, issues, questions are addressed to the individual, the focus person, making sure that there's a good mix of people in the room, making sure that we're focusing on what the individual wants. It's real easy to get into old habits and old ruts of telling the person what they're doing wrong as opposed to where they'd like to go and what they'd like to be doing.
While the ground rules set the stage for the process to begin, the maps are useful to learn about the person's preferences and what is important. Maps are also flexible and can be made to address specific needs of individuals.
You're gathering information about the relationships the person has, where they go now, what makes them happy, what kinds of things they have choices. I think the maps are useful in that, first of all, they document the information as you're gathering it in a way that everyone sees it, which gives everyone access to the information and control in the meeting, which is not true. Traditional meetings, you often have one person at the head of the table taking notes. You're never quite sure what they're writing down, if they've captured what you've thought about, what you tried to convey, what you said, or if they're commenting on your bad behavior at the meeting. The maps create a setting where everyone has the same information.
They're just simply more exciting, more fun, and more interactive. We can use language, or we can throw the language out and simply use the images, which is a nice thing to do with folks that aren't language oriented. The other nice thing is when you've got maps up, when you're working with a person, you're in that discovery phase of who they are. You begin to get a real image of who this person is and what their life is like and what their life has been like and where they'd like to go with it. One of the things we do is ask, is this okay? Turning back to the person saying, is this okay? To the individual, and if they say, no, it's not okay, we can take it off. Again, it's their map, it's their plan, it's their future, it's their life, and we want to make sure that it's consistent with their image of what that is. And you like friendly neighbors, so you can hang out with your neighbors once in a while. Some of the things you don't. Are all those right?
Yeah.
That's what we need in it?
The person-centered planning process has little meaning unless the Circle members have committed to take action.
Our meetings really were just a launch-off point for people to go and do and accomplish the work that needed to be done to help Jim move out of his group home. We had to begin to explore where Jim wanted to live in the community and what were the parameters of the costs, what were the need in terms of support, who might be in a support role, did Jim need roommates. We also had to address the funding issues with the state to make sure that those pieces were in place for Jim.
So what often happens is I end every meeting with an action plan. I identify what the plan is. It can be baby steps toward a goal. It can be a big step, and who's going to act on it, and the date by which they're going to do that. I should put a time on it.
Yeah.
In 2 weeks, before the end of July.
Honey.
2 weeks?
Yeah.
Think so? Hopefully, in between times, you've got people making phone calls, filling out applications, going to movies, whatever it is that was part of the plan. You've got agency staff who are not just helping someone go to the YMCA, but also figuring out how it is they support them in making friends at the YMCA and introducing people and making those kinds of connections, so that at the next meeting, you're gathering information about that. You're talking about if there are others you want to invite, either as part of the formal circle or just to work a little more at involving in the focus person's life.
Over the period of months, I collected a lot of pictures of Jennifer doing things that she likes to do. So what I ended up doing was put pictures of Jennifer in activities that she's currently involved in. And then on the next poster, we had things that could represent what Jennifer wants to do more of.
The essence of person-centered planning is not the maps. The essence is the work that goes on by the circle members. It's making sure that we are trying to achieve the 5 pieces that O'Brien talks about, that we get them into the community, and both in terms of presence and actually being involved in wherever they are. It's not enough to simply be there, that they're actually part of the club, that they're part of the group. O'Brien once said it's not our job to dance with people, but it's our job to help them get invitations to the dance.
Follow-up meetings are an ongoing part of the person-centered planning process. They are a time to review progress, brainstorm, and resolve obstacles. Meetings are also a place for renewal, rejuvenation, and a time to ask for help.
Well, follow-up meetings are really a good time for everybody to get back together, and we report to Jim and the other circle members kind of on the progress from our to-do list from the previous meeting. We talk about what happened, we brainstorm any sort of problems or barriers that may have come up with our particular task. We ask others to help us, and we get rejuvenated. It's also a time where we do celebrate the good things that have happened and some of the little small accomplishments.
Jim and Jennifer had many meetings, and both encountered roadblocks along the way, but creative people and supportive families pushed the process. Finally, after more than a year of planning, Jim and Jennifer both moved into their own apartments. Recognizing and celebrating small steps along the way helped keep the circle sustained over time.
I think the kinds of things that sustain a group over the long run are that they're accomplishing something, that they come to the next meeting, and that the focus person sees and the group sees that the focus person's life is improving in the way that everyone had envisioned.
There was kind of a network of celebrating in the fact that everybody was so happy for her, and became apparent, even though we had planned to do this, that we had no choice but to have her an open house. And we probably had between 50 and 60 people here in Jennifer's apartment on a rainy Saturday afternoon.
Oh, God. God, everybody come here. I don't know. You cow picture.
You gave tours all afternoon for your open house.
I know.
So I collect some money, and we purchased a bathroom set that she wanted, as well as a really pretty clock for the mantle on her fireplace. Also, money kept coming after I purchased everything, and so I just started stuffing it in a card, so she got a card full of money too. Myself and my daughter went over there. We had a couple people from other departments that went over there. I was amazed at the amount of people that were there.
Though it appears Jim and Jennifer have a full and rich life, there is still much work to be done. Jim wants to purchase a home within 2 years, and Jennifer wants to spend more time with friends. Along with these dreams are the details of day-to-day life to work out.
It was the right thing to do for Jennifer to move into the apartment, and everything's gone well. However, again, we really do a lot of behind the scenes and day-to-day things, a lot of the communication between staff, particularly since it's one of the things that's difficult for Jennifer is to communicate. One of the tough things when Jennifer moved, it just happened to be a time when she didn't have any staff that would do overnights. She had to have a lot more staff than when she lived at home. So it meant a lot of new people, and it was pretty overwhelming at first for both Jennifer and us.
Life for Jim has had several unforeseen challenges. After Jim had been settled in his apartment for over a year, he received notification he had lost his waiver.
And the Medicaid waiver was what provided Jim the opportunity to live in his apartment with support. Well, initially, the Circle members looked at why he actually lost his waiver. So that meant talking to people at the state level, at the local level. Jim also needed some support just to maintain his ongoing existence here. He had local providers providing the day-to-day support, and we wanted to make sure that that continued while the waiver was being appealed.
Meanwhile, Jim continued to work on other dreams, such as joining the Senior Adult Community Center and serving as a board member. It is evident that person-centered planning can make a difference in people's lives. Early Circle members, such as Tammy, have remained closely connected to Jim throughout the years, and even though she moved away, they still keep in touch.
Jim is just, he lifts me up when I talk to him because, you know, day-to-day things get hectic, and Jim is always very, you know, concerned and ask about my life and ask how things are going about my family, and I just think it's wonderful that he's out on his own and has all of his friends, and he's on the go and a very busy person.
Chris is Jennifer's employer, and over the years, they have grown close.
My relationship with Jennifer, it means a great deal. I have come to care so much for Jennifer. It's amazing in 3 years in seeing someone and interacting with them and how much they mean to you.
Through person-centered planning, we find people aren't asking for anything extraordinary. People want what we all desire: a meaningful day, a comfortable home, and to be surrounded by people who care about us.
I don't know if I'm doing anything I want to. About 4 o'clock, I get 4 o'clock to take a walk. I like I had parties of friends come have fun here.
So with all your heart and your soul, start right now, really take control. Turn our dreams into reality. And until you do, I'll be dreaming for me and you. We'll see together what a dream can do. We'll discover how to make dreams real. Oh, hey, say, you know, say if seeing is believing, then let the dreaming begin. Let the dream